Thank you. Well, thank you all, and good evening, and welcome to our 132nd spring commencement. The University of Texas at Austin. Now, we hope for an outdoor ceremony with many thousands more of our students and their families on the main mall and outside the tower. But Mother Nature had plans of her own, including tornado watches that have been in place in the region. So although we can't all be together tonight, I do want to personally convey my deep congratulations to each and every one of this year's graduates and their families who are here to celebrate with them. I hope all of you enjoyed your college or school commencements today or yesterday. So tonight, we do celebrate graduates from 153 Texas counties, 49 American states, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and 78 foreign countries. And here representing our students tonight is the President of Student Government, Kori Rady. Kori, I have enjoyed working with you this year. You and student government have gotten a great deal done for the benefit of our campus and more particularly for the benefit of our students. You've been a great friend. I look forward to seeing what you will be doing in the years to come. Please welcome the Student Body President, Kori Rady.
Hello, everyone. First off, I want to thank everyone for coming. This is a little bit different. Obviously, I think most students would know that we'd want it outside, but I think given the ambition our university has shown, we're still having this event, which is incredible in itself. So a round of applause for all the staff that has put this together. It's quite meaningful that this is still occurring. So to begin, Chancellor McRaven, Provost Fenves, deans, faculty, and staff, and President Powers, thank you for all of your hard work in making the UT experience the best it could be. There's one person here tonight, and it'll be his last commencement ever, a close friend of mine, President Powers. I especially want to thank you, President Powers, for everything you've done for me, for the university, and the world. So one more round of applause for the man, President Powers. To the class of 2015, what will you remember about your time on the 40 acres? For some of us, it was cheering on a bruised Longhorn team against OU, which reminded us that there is just as much glory and determination and resilience as there is in victory. For some, it was those late nights in the PCL or research with your favorite professor. For the Silver Spurs, it was taking care of Bevo in ways that others might not be willing. For Tejas, it was sitting on the porch with friends, drinking coffee, and listening to intriguing speakers. For those who participate in sorority and fraternity life, it was those who witnessed a probate or were initiated and created lifelong friendships through those organizations. For my successors, Xavier and Rohit, it was wishing there was a Chili's on campus. For President Powers, again, it was inspiring us all and fiercely fighting to make sure that the University of Texas held strong to its tradition as a world-renowned institution. It seems foolish and nearly impossible to try to condense the collective experience of UT, or even the class of 2015, into one idea or motif. But that's just it. Our ambition is the thread that weaves us together as the 40 acres. Our ambition sets us apart as a university. It is what helps us make a difference in our cities, our country, and our world. I don't mean ambition in the sense that we're all gunning to be elite scholars, lawyers, bankers, or executives. I mean ambition in that we're all striving for something greater than ourselves, striving to make communities closer, friendships stronger, and the lives of those around us better. The University of Texas is the university of the first class because on some level, we're all striving to embody that first class mentality. That's what got us here. That's what our families, professors, mentors, and friends helped cultivate inside of us. Ambition is what we will take with us as we step off the 40 acres and into a new landscape. And that is why what starts here will forever change the world. The best part about this is that most of us who are graduating are still pretty young, so this commencement is just the start. And because we're still so young, we refuse to be held back by anyone who doubts us. Some of us will go off to become incredibly successful artists, musicians, lawyers, and doctors. But regardless of what we do next, always remember to carry that ambition close to our hearts and give thanks to the 40 acres. As the famous author James Michener once said, when you represent Texas, always go first class. And the last comment I'll leave all of you with is this. There are over 7 billion people living on this planet. I recently learned that if you shrink that number down to 100 and kept all the same percentages, 80 people would have substandard living, 67 would be unable to read, 24 would be without electricity, and only one person would have a college degree. Class of 2015, we are so fortunate to be that one person, and it's up to us to make the most of it. We can be the change this world needs. We can lift up our fellow citizens when they are struggling. And above all, we can be ambitious in a way that can truly benefit our society. At the University of Texas, we are that one amongst 100. And knowing this, it is our job to change the world. Let's do it. Congratulations to us, the class of 2015 in Hook'em Horns.
Well, thank you, Kori, and let me once again thank you for all of your service to your students, to the faculty, to the staff, to the whole campus. Let's give Kori another round of applause. And now our 2015 keynote address. Darren Walker is an amazing person, and he's led an amazing life. He was born in a charity hospital in Lafayette, Louisiana, and grew up in Goose Creek, Texas, just outside of Baytown. Today, he's the president of the second largest philanthropic organization in the United States, the Ford Foundation. Now, during that journey, he had some remarkable experiences, to say the least. And somewhere in the middle of that journey, we're proud to say, came the University of Texas at Austin. In 1982, Darren earned a dual degree in government and communications here at the University of Texas. And in 1986, he earned his UT law degree. After working on a Wall Street law firm for 8 years as a bond salesman, during which time he put his sisters through college. He then quit to volunteer at a private school in Harlem. From there, he went to work in the community development arm of Harlem's largest Baptist church, where his work drew attention of the Rockefeller Foundation and eventually of the Ford Foundation. Today, as president of the Ford Foundation, he oversees the philanthropic distributions of more than $500 million every year. Darren, we could not be more proud of the person you've become. Please share a little of your wisdom with this graduating class of 2015. Darren Walker.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you to my friend Bill Powers for your generous words and for so warmly welcoming me back to the 40 acres. Through decades of progress and a few moments of adversity, Bill, your unwavering courage has set a powerful example for generations. Your boundless and unconditional love for this institution has remained a stalwart inspiration to me and countless alumni around the globe. You, Bill Powers, are the embodiment of Texas Fight. Please join me in recognizing our inimitable, indefatigable president, the 28th president of the University of Texas, William Powers, Jr. So to President Powers, to our Chancellor McRaven, to the former chancellors, our esteemed faculty and staff, guests, and of course, most importantly, the class of 2015. Congratulations. So this is a momentous evening, a monumental rite of passage, one of the special fleeting moments that will radiate in your memories for years. And take it from me, I can vividly recall my commencement day, the pride, the joy, the uncertainty, and finally the relief. And I can also remember what it was like to first set foot on this magical campus. I was a clueless, skinny version of myself from a small town in Texas. And here I was walking on the drag, walking past all kinds of people I'd never seen before. I saw hippies. We didn't have hippies in my hometown. There was this weird, funky, hole-in-the-wall grocery store called Whole Foods. And I remember walking in and thinking to myself, this place will never catch on. But I always knew that I wanted to be a part of the UT community. And though I have traveled far and wide, I've never been apart from it. During my time on this magical campus, I drank up UT life from a fire hose. I drank every drop of it. And in many ways, when I arrived on this campus, my life really started. Now, to understand what I mean, I think it's important to understand where I was coming from. As President Powers said, I was born in a charity hospital to a single mother and lived in a little segregated town in Louisiana. But my mother realized that this community was not a community of opportunity for me and my sister, and so she moved us to a place in Texas where we had family. A little town called Ames, Texas, population 1,400 in Liberty County, not far from Beaumont. My mom studied to become a nurse's assistant, a job she worked with decades of dignity and pride. I attended public schools. We didn't have a lot, but we had enough. And these were my beginnings. And I tell you this, graduates, for two reasons. The first is that while your name may be on the degree does not belong to you alone. And the second reason I tell you is because your story is my story. The story of a boy who started life in a little shotgun house in Ames, Texas. The story of a young man who made his way up the ladder in a new city, and who today has the great privilege of leading an institution committed to ending poverty and injustice in the world. This is a Texas story. Indeed, this is an American story. It's a story about transcending and overcoming, about the pathway out and the roadway forward. In short, it is a story about bridges, about crossing them, building them, and being them. You see, I crossed a bridge to come to Texas from Louisiana. I'll never forget crossing the Colorado River Bridge on my first visit to Austin. I crossed a bridge into New York when I took my University of Texas education out into the world. In fact, every major turning point in my life, every figurative bridge, has been accompanied by a literal one. And yet, the most important crossings in our lives are not always made of cables and concrete and steel. The bridges in our lives take many forms. On my journey, my mother and my community was a bridge from poverty to possibility. But there were also public policies that reflected the generosity of America, the country we love. Indeed, the only country in the world where my story could even be realized. I was in the inaugural class of a program called Head Start in 1965. That program was my bridge between being unready for life and prepared for school. Private scholarships from Texas philanthropists and Pell Grants were my bridge between lower expectations and higher education. And during my formative years, I always knew that Texas was cheering me on. With every fiber in my body, I felt that. In Austin, I had mentors like my Professor John Trimble, who told me, Darren, you don't come to college to get a job. You come to college to get an education. I had champions, women and men, who through their kindness offered me a bridge to a world I could never have imagined on my own. Without them, I would not be here today. So graduates just like me, you're the product of a community that has prepared you to prosper and thrive. In New York, I inhabit a world of prep school grads and Ivy League alums. The tiny island of Manhattan where I live is densely packed with some of the most talented, competitive, ambitious people on this planet. But my UT education, yes, my public education, has prepared me. It prepared me to go to that little tiny island and compete and succeed and ultimately to lead. And it has prepared you too. This is the privilege of Texas big-heartedness, the promise of Texas bridges. My bridges were white, black, brown, gay, straight, rich, poor, and everything in between. You see, that's the thing about bridges. They don't discriminate. They join people and places of all creeds and colors, and all categories and communities. They take us on a journey together and hopefully to a better place. And this is something I was reminded of only a few months ago on a very special bridge in a place called Selma, Alabama. As many of you know, this year marks the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Movement's Bloody Sunday, a defining moment in American history. I was honored to be invited to attend the ceremonies back in March. It was a profoundly moving experience for me because I got to travel to Selma with one of my personal heroes, Congressman John Lewis, who marched on the Edmund Pettus Bridge 50 years ago. when John boldly led a group of marchers forward in 1965. He was a 25-year-old kid, almost your age. He not only yearned for a better world, he was willing to give everything for it. Meanwhile, a few hundred miles away, I was just 5 years old, and I had no idea of what John Lewis was doing for me. He and others on that bridge marched into men on horses with clubs, straight into a swift and certain beating so that I wouldn't have to. So I am here today because people like John Lewis and countless others put their lives on the line and made sacrifices that they believed in. And yet there is so much more we need to do together. We must continue to bridge the gaps of inequality in our culture, in our economy, in our discourse, and in our politics. Because the truth is, we see inequality everywhere in our society today. In studies and statistics, in schoolhouses and courthouses and jailhouses, and on the streets of places like Baltimore and Ferguson. And to me, the challenges of our system are deeply personal. My childhood friends were my cousins, boys with talents and passions and potential no different from my own. But as I said, my mother moved us from that little community to Texas. What happened to those boys I left behind? They found themselves trapped in the same cycle of despair that has caught far too many young African-American men in our society. And by my count, 5 of them have served time in prison. It is hard to know why. For some of us, life unfolds in one way, and for others, in a completely different way. But in my case, I know what the difference was. I had bridges that made the difference. I had people who had my back, a community and institutions that kept me moving forward. I had bridges built in Texas. I had bridges to hope. And so I choose tonight to be hopeful, to be radically hopeful, because there is so much hope in the progress as a society we have seen, which affirms that more progress indeed is still possible. And my story is all the evidence you need. A kid like me from a rural working class town like Ames, Texas, now president of one of our nation's flagship philanthropies. So I'm proof of what happens when people put aside their differences and build bridges. And I've made my life's story into my life's passion, and my life's passion into my life's project, ensuring that every boy and girl in this country and around the world can do what I did, to dream and to have bridges built that they can cross and have those dreams realized. But this is not a new aspiration. This is not a new idea. America has always been about people choosing to bind themselves together, actively choosing. We are we the people. We are e pluribus unum, out of one, out of many, one. We are the hopes and dreams of mothers and fathers of every origin, crossing an ocean or crossing a river. We are the transcontinental railroad and transatlantic flights and the interstate highway system and the internet. We are Ellis Island and we are the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I know each of you has your own bridge to build and to traverse. The bridge between graduation and getting a job. The bridge between an environment in peril and ecosystems in balance, the bridge between communities desperate in need and communities rich in abundance. And so tonight, as you cross the figurative bridge that is your commencement day, as you cross over the Colorado River and leave the 40 acres behind, as your journey unfolds before your very eyes, think about how you can build a bridge to a better world. You know, in my office at the Ford Foundation, I have many mementos from my unlikely journey. I traveled over 100,000 miles last year, from boardrooms to battered slums, from Detroit to Delhi, from the United Nations to the most impoverished of nations. But everywhere I visit, I like to bring something back, even if it's just an idea. And among the many important things I have in my office are 2 sticky notes that I keep affixed to my computer monitor. And on them are written a pair of my personal mottos. One says, "Pressure is a privilege." And the second says, "You rest, you rust." So no doubt, bridges endure a lot of pressure. Bridges corrode and crumble, and indeed, they rust. And being a bridge is the work of a lifetime. But you are now the holder of a University of Texas degree. You have been prepared, privileged, and poised to change the world. Yes, a banker can be a bridge. A teacher can be a bridge. A social worker or a scientist. A doctor or a diplomat. A police officer or a computer program. They can all be bridges. And for you law school graduates, even a lawyer can be a bridge. So every time you feel pressure, embrace the privilege. Every time you feel tempted to rest on your laurels, make that day matter. Because it is true that what starts here changes the world, but in order to change the world, what starts here cannot stop here. As I've traveled the globe, I have seen how Texas has prepared me for every challenge, to cross every bridge and to build bridges where there weren't any. And everywhere I go, I know the world needs just a little more of that Texas spirit. Class of 2015, your future is here. Your future is now. I cannot wait to see the bridges that you cross, the bridges that you build, and who you will take on the journey along with you. Congratulations, class of 2015. Hook 'em horns. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Darren, thank you. That was truly inspiring. As your life has been inspiring with all of those bridges, I am so proud that you're a Longhorn. And I am so proud you're my friend. Now, it's hard to believe that it was only a year ago that Admiral Bill McRaven delivered one of the great keynotes in our nation's history. One that has more than 3 million people who have watched it online. Bill, who could have predicted that in just a few months you'd be our chancellor? And let me say, we are so glad you are. You've been a great chancellor, a true leader. Even the alarm will go off in a second. A great chancellor and a true leader. And I now ask you to make a special presentation to some very special people. Please welcome our chancellor and a true American hero, Bill McRaven.
Well, thanks very much, Bill. On this Memorial Day weekend, it is appropriate that we recognize so many Americans for their service. And the men and women in our military sacrifice in ways many of us will never know about. One such sacrifice took place during the Vietnam era, when many students could not attend their commencement because they had already shipped out. Tonight, we have some very special guests, Vietnam-era veterans and former military personnel who missed their commencement ceremonies because they were required to report to duty. Welcome back. We are honored that you could join us, either virtually or in person, for what is, I'm sure, a much belated commencement observance. Tonight, we also have almost 100 military veterans who are graduating as members of the class of 2015. To all these honorees, thank you for your contributions and your service to the nation. If there are some here this evening, will you please stand and be recognized? As with a number of the other speakers, there is one more person I would like to recognize, and that is President Bill Powers. President Powers, will you please join me at the lectern? In less than 2 weeks, Bill Powers will step down after more than 9 years of service to this institution. I want you to consider the numbers. He is the second longest serving president in UT history. President Powers founded 2 colleges, the School of Undergraduate Studies and the Dell Medical School. 13 major buildings were either completed or begun during his presidency. And $3.1 billion, that's how many dollars he raised with the Campaign for Texas, the most by any Texas institution of any kind in history. Bill, it is a true honor for me to thank you on behalf of the entire Longhorn family and to present you with this special medallion as a token of our appreciation for the leadership you have shown and the sacrifices you have made to make UT stronger than ever. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please join me in thanking President Bill Powers.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Chancellor, thank you for that. And let me again just say, in a heartfelt way, we are so thankful that you're our Chancellor. God bless you. Let me also just take a brief moment to thank the entire Longhorn family. As I've said before, 38 years ago, I fell in love with this institution. And serving as your president has been the greatest honor of my professional life. Getting to know the people who make up this far-flung community has been the experience of a lifetime. The class of 2015, some of whom are sitting here before us, this is the last to be awarded degrees during my presidency. I am very, very proud of you. I know all too well what you as students and the rest of the Longhorn community, I know all too well what you've done for me and what you've done for our family and what you've done for our beloved university. So just let me say from the bottom of my heart to all of you, thank you. And so to all of our graduates tonight, congratulations. In celebration of your accomplishments, tonight the tower glows orange. And I want you to always remember, the eyes of Texas are always upon you. So congratulations. God bless you. Good night to everyone, and hook 'em horns.